want to thank you so much indeed for joining us, the spokesperson to the president and also the special advisor on media and communications to President Bola Tinubu. Uh, Daniel Bwala, let me first of all congratulate you because
Thank you.
it's been a while since we have had an opportunity to interact since your appointment as the special advisor to Mr. President. But I want to get your thoughts really because one of the lawmakers, Senator Ali Ndume, attributed to Mr. President as not being federal in his appointments by way of obeying the federal character. Do you think that is perhaps the case that Mr. President has not seen, for instance, that he needs to make his appointments to be in line with federal character?
First of all, the principle of federal character, as contained in, I think, section 14 of the Constitution, is to the effect that the government must be run in such a manner that it reflects the principles of federal character, so that there is no part of the government that is considered as dominant. But is the constitutional provision consistent with the facts of that senator? No. What he railed out are falsehood and disinformation. Because my thing is, if you are going to come out and criticize government on things that can be backed up by data and stats, then it's good you bring out the data and stats. He was in a TV program where he was alluding to this allegation or assertion, and he was holding a paper by his side, but he couldn't speak to those facts. I mean, somebody who has lectured himself should know the importance of data and facts. Because if I'm going to speak on sentiment on issues that have no correlation with statistics and data, then that's not a problem. I can build a sentiment around it. But if you want to speak to those things, you have to speak to fact by mentioning places, times, percentage, and then be able to come out with that. There is no part of the country that is not represented in the government of President Bola Tinubu. So it's a falsehood and disinformation. Now, disinformation is different from misinformation. Misinformation can be tolerated with someone to say probably doesn't have adequate information. But disinformation is a deliberate use of false information or information that cannot be substantiated for the purposes of pushing an agenda. And that's exactly what he's doing.
But he's also looked at the ambassadorial nominations by Mr. President. I think Omokri is also is part of that list. Former governor of Abia State, Igbazu, has made that list. Former Senator Sani also made that list. And could there be a substantial narrative or proof that Ndume could be looking at the ambassadorial appointments as part of the problems that Mr. President has to address?
This is why, like I said, that he, as a ranking senator, and I think someone who has been in National Assembly for so long, you would expect a degree of maturity, and but also more than that, you will expect a degree of integrity, right, in the way you communicate, because you sway opinion and you lead people. There are people that will look up to you and think what you're saying is correct. How can someone be banking on information that is circulating in the social media, and such information has not been made available in any of the platforms available of government? Like I said yesterday, when we tried to debunk the assertion that the president has sacked the INEC chairman, I said, no, the president has his own way of communicating. We have official channels and not rumor mill. So him building an argument that is based on rumor mill, I mean, it is most unfortunate of a man like him to be building on what is not from the official channels of government. That list or that conversation around names and the rest is nowhere, has not emanated from government. It's part of for some of us who know a thing about narrative or media. Sometimes people plant stories to sway people, and sometimes they plant stories for the purposes of misinforming the people. That list is not known to government, and I'm not going to speak to it, either to promote anybody in the list or to demote anybody in the list.
Is Mr. President making any plans to appoint ambassadors?
I know that we have foreign missions and embassies that have not been filled. since the last time some of the ambassadors were recalled. So one will assume that at some point the president will appoint an ambassador. As per when and who is in the list or not is a fact that I don't have any knowledge of.
You know that just going around town, I begin to see the 2027 posters, and it
Yeah.
seems like the campaign is already in earnest. Not to take away from that, but you have heard, I believe, either from the grapevines or from hearsays or in actuality,
Right.
that there is a movement that is taking place in Nigeria today geared towards 2027 and unseating the APC, which is the ruling party today. Have you heard of the merger?
Yes, I am aware of a movement for a wild goose chase, a movement for a chase of a rabbit that is not anywhere in sight. I'm aware of the Association of Aggrieved Politicians, or Association of Politicians who are desperate for power, or association of this. I'm talking about the perceived coalition is going to be a silo where you will find different characteristics of politicians there. There are some who are aggrieved, they will want to be the ones in power. There are some that have just left power and cannot afford to survive without being in power. There are those that left power a long time ago and have been asking. And Nigerian people have been saying, we don't need you. And they still want it. And there are others who also are built based on sentiment to say, okay, we don't like this man. We used to like him. We don't like him now. We want to change. One fundamental thing about this association is that I have not seen one that is anchored around national interest. I have not seen them push forward any argument that can substantiate the justification for that movement. Usually, people try to provide alternative to government when they feel that the government's program and policies are not consistent with growth, and then they will say, we have a different path, we have a different agenda. For the past probably 2 3 months that they've been talking, they are talking about themselves. They are not, none of them is talking about any policy.
But Madam Nasser El-Rufai, whom you have so much respect for,
Right.
made it categorically clear when he spoke on one of our sister television stations in saying that the policies of President Bola Tinubu are not working in the best interest of the people of Nigeria. If he says that and has moved to left your party and moved to the SDP, isn't that pungent enough for you to be concerned?
I think his case is even worse for him in the sense that he was part of the formation of the conceptualization of the policy that eventually was introduced by President Bola Tinubu. So why I say his case is worse for him is because up until when he felt like he was not carried alone in government, everything the government was doing was okay. The same thing he did during Buhari. As long as he was part of the government, everything was perfect. The minute he feels he's out of the scheme of things, then he writes letter or he comes up with anything that can be used as an alternative. That's what he's doing now. He was in a program in which someone would ask him to specifically mention or give the details of the policy that you're interrogating or condemning. He could not. So that's why I said when this coalition talk, I wish that we can have a government where we support and promote alternative, right? It builds democracy. But those who have pure motive, those who have agenda, those who have goals, those who can talk about the things that are good for the people, right? The problem I have with his own is that he has not been able to tell you why he criticized the policy. But I know for a fact he was part of the formation, because it came out in the manifesto. He campaigned, didn't he? He campaigned with President Tinubu.
It was a Chatham House retreat.
It's in the manifesto of the party. He was in Chatham House. In fact, in Chatham House, he even talked about the policy of the government. So, having campaigned for a document, you are a part of its formation, conceptualization, and publication, and then you come to government at the beginning of government, you were also part of it. Until when you fail to scale through as a minister, then suddenly the policy is bad. I don't think Nigerian people will take those kind of arguments as serious.
If I may just chip in here, Malam Nasser El-Rufai said that He has been a minister. He's not looking for being a minister anymore.
So why is
He
he
has been
worried?
a minister when he was 40. I mean, that
Exactly.
was over 20 years ago.
So the irony of what he's saying is like what we're saying, your best case is still a case against you, right? If you were a minister and you are not interested in being a minister, then there shouldn't be worry about your noise up and down. If you were a governor and that you never wanted a position and that the president begged you to become a minister and that you have document to show, fantastic. So when you were presented for the ministerial, why didn't you decline? Why did you go through all the hog? And then when that fell through, and then you began some of this dropping of the reactionary statements and condemnation like that. I mean, it will not. Yeah, let me tell you the worst part. You know for a fact that there are politicians who want to start their life and even die in politics. So the idea he's saying that he has been a minister before, therefore it's not important to him, is a case against him because of the fact that he's fighting up. Because in one breath, I have seen an interview in which he was vehemently complaining about why he was dropped and he was angry about it. Then in another breath, you will now hear him saying, "I'm not interested in that." It's oxymoron, right? It is not. I prefer people that will come out and say, "Yes, I'm angry because I was left out, and because of that, I think I should fight the system." At least people will pass it for integrity to say, "Yeah, you're honest about what you're saying." You cannot skew the mind of the people, right? You cannot. You see, Nigerians are civilized. I don't think the Nigerian people should be treated like we're living in a fool's paradise or we're living in a banana republic. The lifestyle of a politician in Nigeria is still in the what they call in the palms of the hands. Because 1999 was when we came into this Fourth Republic. And from 1999 to this moment, those who have been participating in politics can give you an account of anybody who has participated in politics. So why are you talking as if you are talking to a fresh set of millennials or the Gen Z who were not born at the time you were, at the time we came into power in 1999? And him moving for coalition, he has moved from party to party. He was a minister on the platform of another party and governor on the platform of APC. And when he went to this is supposed coalition, they gave him the real test because he wanted to go and control stuff for them.
Do you know who the members of this new coalition movement are?
You are members of the media. Sometimes we follow your reports, right? There are those who are seen and have been seen talking on behalf of them. There are those who are not talking, they walk in the night, they crawl in the night. And there are those who are watching from a distance and saying one thing or the other. And I ask myself, tell me one politician in Nigeria today that can defeat President Bola today. Let's cut to the chase. I want you to bring one politician amongst individuals that are coming together under the coalition that will defeat President Bola Tinubu. And then I will tell you why I think that they are on a wild goose chase.
You think that President Bola Tinubu, your principal, is undefeatable in 2027?
He is undefeatable on the basis of the trajectory that we're in.
But hold on, okay, Daniel. Let me paint a scenario that Mr. President went through before becoming president.
Right.
He had successes, or should I say successions, in changing or metamorphosing his political party all the way until it became ACN and then APC. That was a coalition that brought the existence of the APC. Are you now saying that there is no coalition, just like we had in the past, that didn't know that their fate was hanging in the balance and they could wrest power from the ruling PDP? Are you saying that that cannot happen in 2027?
I'm saying that the circumstance that made it possible for a coalition of all Progressives Congress in 2015 is not the same circumstance at the moment. And I can tell you that. Pre-2015, how many local governments in Nigeria that were taken over by Boko Haram? That insecurity. We had oil boom in Nigeria without commensurate impact on the people, right? Pre-2019, bombs were being seen, were exploding in the towns, in cities, all over Nigeria. There's no part of Nigeria that was okay. All these are few of the many scenarios, right? The case is not the same. This president came pre-2015, no courage to remove subsidy, unify the naira, and lay a foundation for a prosperous Nigeria. Right? We were borrowing. That was the foundation. The facts are not the same. Right now, this president came and took the decision that his predecessors were afraid to take. He was well aware that the reason why his predecessors failed to take those decisions is because it has its own commensurate impact. He decided it's better for us to be real with ourselves and preserve the future of our children than to sell the destiny of our great grandchildren through borrowing and without setting the record straight. Nigerian people watching. At the beginning, the situation was so harsh that the opponents capitalized on that. We are sponsoring a lot of protest, including plan for military to come and take over Nigeria. They failed. They planned the second protest, and the second protest was uneventful. Why? Because Nigerians could see sincerity of purpose on the part of the president by introducing policies, and we will begin to see little by little the yielding. Now, don't forget, when he took the reins of power, about 26 or 7 states of the federation were declared bankrupt. They couldn't pay salary. Now, thanks to these bold reforms, we are not talking about salary now. We are talking about people should go beyond that to pay 70,000 and do more in terms of infrastructure. That is a big plus. In other words, the president's administration, one of the gains is he saved 27 to 28 states of the federation. But that's not it. That's not all. Number two, the insecurity situation at the time he took. I remember a few months before the election, some bandits said they were coming inside Abuja to kidnap Buhari. That's how they said. They came to as far as Buhari area and killed soldiers. That is not the case now. Even within the FCT, relative peace all over Nigeria. Now, in the last 2-3 weeks, there are pockets of insecurity, like the case you find in Edo, in Benue, in Osun, and the rest. These are insecurity situations that we're dealing with them. But when you look at holistically, within you are giving a comparative analysis, we have measured success in that area. Now look at the economy of Nigeria. Look at our foreign reserve.
Well, hold on. But
Okay.
before we go there,
Okay.
security is one hotbed
Right.
that will suggest to anyone who's watching that if you don't get security right, you probably will get everything else wrong.
Right.
What you termed pockets of violence here and there. 16 people were killed in Uromi. We had that in Benue State. We had another one, I think, in Osun State too. Are these not worrisome enough for this present administration to perhaps declare a state of emergency in the security architecture in Nigeria today? Or perhaps ask the security chiefs to get your work doing or be booted out?
So the president is already dealing with insecurity as if it were an emergency situation. That's why there is no need to declare state of emergency. When I talked about pockets, it's because what happened in Uromi didn't happen again anywhere else in Nigeria. It's an incident. What happened in Osun did not repeat itself or replicate itself in other parts of Nigeria. What happened in Benue did not replicate itself in other parts of Nigeria. Now, insecurity that is seen as a concern that oftentimes call for what they call emergency are insecurity situations that replicate itself, right? You have similar incident and then you see the same. I'll give you a case of London, I think 2011 or so, when there was a riot in Hackney. And then that riot now found itself in Lewisham, in other places, replicating itself. It forced the United Kingdom to tell Twitter, I think it was Twitter and Facebook, because that was how it was initiated. They said it that people should come out, blah, blah, blah. They say you have to take action. You have to shut down. You have to do this. So whenever emergency situation is called, this banditry and Boko Haram, why we see that as an emergency situation is because when you have a case of Boko Haram today, tomorrow you have almost identical in another state, identical, and that is insecurity. It's a pattern. The same thing with banditry. But insecurity that comes once in a while is what every government of the world confront every day. Now, you made the point when I said insecurity, we are dealing with it. Your question alluded to the fact as if there can be any state or country in which there won't be insecurity. As you and I are talking right now, somewhere in the United States of America, somebody is being shot, somebody is being stabbed in England, somebody is being killed in the Middle East. Insecurity is a global phenomenon, and insecurity will never stop. I give you another case of kidnapping. It got to a point within the FCT and some part, even in Plateau State, there was a time a secretary of a church was arrested for kidnapping himself so that the church will pay ransom. Because people found that it is a crisis economy. It has nothing to do with tribe, religion, or anything. Anytime you allow a crisis situation to fester or to be emboldened or increase itself, it replicates. That is not what we are saying. That's why I say substantially, to a large extent, we have dealt with insecurity. There is no local government in Nigeria today that is under the hands of Boko Haram or bandit. Not one. That's one. Look at in those days when we had in the Niger Delta, the bombing of pipeline and the rest. We don't have that scenario. Within this FCT, there was a time almost in all these spots where people take a taxi, they were kidnapping, even to homes. Relative peace in the FCT, people stay till 2:30 a.m. and they go to their homes. It is not a concluded act. It is an ongoing act. But I think that as we approach the second year of the administration of the president, we can look around with some degree of pride and say we have achieved to a large extent in dealing with insecurity in Nigeria. And we have other areas in which we can point at. And those who are our detractors and our opponents have not been able to come with one single alternative.
Do you think the polls in 2027 will favor President Bola Tinubu?
I think so, because usually what forms the opinion of voters, number one is the standard of living of their lives, the security of themselves and their loved ones, right? The future of their children. Every man who goes to bed every night thinks of either of these three. One, the economy of today. Two, the security of himself and that of his family, and the future of his children. All of these reforms that the president is introducing is laying the foundation for the future of the children. In terms of the security of the moment, we have achieved a great success and we're moving all the same. Now, in terms of the economy of the now, is what we told the Nigerian people when this policy began, that we are not promising overnight wonders. Just like when you go to plant a seed, it takes time to germinate to when it becomes successful. That's why the president introduced so much of intervention in the meantime, while we wait for the maturation of the policies. There are various interventions. We talk about the NEL fund. You see in agriculture and healthcare, that virtually every aspect that affects the people, including entrepreneurship. Young people are able to access funds now to do business if you have idea for business. So this is a conscious effort to do what is unpopular. When people may not clap hands for you, but you are doing that because you don't want your grandchild tomorrow to wake up and he doesn't have a future. Are we comfortable with the Japa syndrome? Nigerians go to the rest of the world and work like slaves. When we talk about modern day slavery, that's what you see in the United Kingdom. You have your masters and PhD, you work in the healthcare. What do you do in the healthcare? These are jobs in Nigeria. Nigerians will never do that. And people who are doing that are graduates because they have lost hope of the future of their country. President Tinubu is rewriting the story so that Nigerians don't have to think about going. The wealth is here. Either it is above the head or beneath the earth.
Do you think Nigerians in the diaspora are considering coming back home?
There are quite a number of them that have come home to do business. Every day we see that. And then, of course, you must have been aware also about these, what they call diaspora remittances. Anybody who doesn't have future in Nigeria cannot be sending money so that they'll open company for him or build house or infrastructure. And this thing will take time, especially when we make the environment conducive enough for a Nigerian who is abroad to say, wait a minute, why do I have to work my ass off to get this mega money when I can come to Nigeria and bring about this business that will affect my community? We are also teaching our Nigerian people to invest in Nigerian product because that way it will create jobs. This idea that everything that we consume, we eat, we do has to be imported is what is killing our economy. But now what we are doing is that if you are in the fashion industry, we're encouraging Nigerians to venture into fashion and Nigerians to wear Nigerian product If you are in agriculture, we encourage people to eat Nigerian products. If whatever is the field, we are building national consciousness, and we are building our people to realize that, look, the Americans think of America as first. Look at what Donald Trump is doing. America first. We are getting to that point where everybody has to think first of self-preservation, which is a principle. So this administration, I can say with every degree of boldness, we are in the right direction. Now, what I thought the opposition will engage us with, because they all know that we're on the right path. They promised that in their manifestos, except that people want to be hypocritical. Everything we are doing, they said they will do. They're angry because we are the ones doing it and not them. And Nigerians trusted us to do it. So what I thought the argument should be is about the speed of progress. Somebody will say, in our own agenda, if we had introduced this, instead of 18 months, we can get it in 9 months. That is constructive argument. That yours is not giving the speed that is required. Ours would have brought in this, not to be hypocritical. They are removing. There is one presidential candidate that ran on a platform of one party, they call Labour Party or something like that. Till today, he has not been able.
You mean Peter Obi?
Yeah. He has, okay, that's his name, Peter Obi. He has not been able till
I
today.
thought Peter Obi was a good friend of yours.
Well, I have known him as a trader, but I have never known him as a visionary leader, right? There is no not yardstick, there is no compartmentalization of this progressive growth of Nigeria that he has at any material time associated with. He has never been a progressive person. He has never been a unionist. He's running on the platform of a union party. He has never been what we call a comrade, and he claims to be fighting for people who are protesting. He has never had any policy of communal or human development. That's why he doesn't have businesses, schools, philanthropy, or any form of activity that shows that he's building the people. And he has never participated in capacity development. He is just someone who comes from the window.
Even as a governor?
When he was a governor, recently, he was on air and said that Nigeria has collapsed. And what was the reason for he saying Nigeria has collapsed? He said democratic institutions are not working. As if we were not born when he governed his state for 8 years, in which he consciously refused to conduct local government elections and ran the state without local government heads. There cannot be any anti-democratic activities like stifling of local government. Do you know what President Tinubu did? He promoted the autonomy of the local government, not just to have local government chairman emerge, but they must be autonomous to deliver to the grassroots in healthcare, in education, in community development, in chieftaincy matters, in all other aspects. One of the landmark achievement of this administration is the autonomy of the local government. That is what President is looking at, what he fought against. He said there has never been. Now, he also talked about what I think he's talking about in terms of democracy. He will tell you that free speech is stifled in Nigeria. He himself and his followers, there is no continent of the world where you find vitriol, hate speech, viciousness that is in any part of the world greater than you see that with him and his followers. Has any of them been arrested? He has never participated before or after election in any workshop, seminar for development. He has never gone to any university to teach a course or to encourage youngsters. He has never been involved. All I'm trying to say in essence is he's not passionate about the country he claims to be passionate about. No, not a single one.
But he had a massive followership leading up to the past 2023 election.
What he did,
he may be coming out in 2027 again.
No, he's not running. Some of his members, the people that would have helped him to run are all leaving him anyway. They are coming to Ashwaji Bola. I'm sure you are aware, Valentine Osigbo, who is his the person who is carrying all of his program, is in our party. He just ran for governorship primaries. People like Balami, they joined. Kenneth is on his way to our party. You understand? He's losing everybody under him. It's not a joke. He's losing everybody under him. If you're a genuine leader, that is when people will gather. He is right now in the valley of decision. Valley of decision because one, he's thinking about how to convince his people that he wants to play a second fiddle to somebody in 2027. But he is not even sure he will get the second fiddle because our ears are on the ground. We know what is happening. So he's somewhere between the devil and the deep blue sea. What he has right now, as far as political career is concerned, it is his wallet, his purse, his shoe, and his clothes. He doesn't have a follower. I challenge you to show me today a major stakeholder that is supporting him. He used religious rhetoric in the 2023 election. He was not eligible and did not qualify to enjoy that favor he enjoyed in the election. He was not supposed to be anywhere near presidential candidacy.
Maybe you should be telling that to INEC.
No, I mean, if you have any political party that's registered and a monkey emerge as a candidate of the party, and they must publish it. That's the law. If the party is registered and the party conduct primaries and somebody emerge, they must publish it. They don't have any choice. And anybody who's angry will go to court. So he is not consequential. Nobody is having sleepless night because of him. When we are not even having sleepless night because of the coalition, and I will tell you why. It's not arrogance. If there is one politician that I have learned a lot from in terms of not being overconfident, it is President Bola Tinubu. Since he took the oath of office till today, his posture and demeanor is that of someone who respects the opinion, the wishes, and the complaints of the Nigerian people. When he engages, he pleads with the Nigerian people. When he engages, he will tell them, I hear you. The other time he was speaking to the youth, he said, I have heard your cry. There is no forum and fora in which President Bola Tinubu boast or say, I will win, I will win. We have, as his followers, refused to answer this question of 2027 because we are focused on governance. When the chips are down, I mean, we will know who is who and who is ready. Some of these elements that are saying coalition, okay, how else would they say they are relevant if they are not busy going up and down? They have to be going up and down to give you the impression that they are, but they are not like a clap of thunder out of the blue sky. They can't reinvent themselves because we know what's up and we know who they are.
That's a good place to let it rest. We most sincerely thank you. The Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Media and Communications, and indeed the spokesperson of Mr. President, Dr. Daniel Bwala. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. You're welcome.